Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I'm a voice teacher. Today I'm joined with my dear friend, Dr. Mark Reynolds, and he is going to help me analyze and react to YEBBA performing My Mind. It's a pretty guitar.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love me a good hum.
Easy nice.
I heard you coming at 2:45. You closed the door and lay down next to me. But then I heard you say her name in your sleep. Your dirty secrets too far gone to keep. I'm about to lose my
Gorgeous.
I'm about to lose my mind, my mind, about to lose my.
What are your impressions so far?
Well, I actually have heard this song before. I worked with a student in a performance class back in Utah.
And one of your students did this song?
Yeah, one of my students did this song, and it is one of my favorite students ever. She's awesome. And so it really stuck out in my head because she did it gorgeously as well. But here, I just love how, as she's going up this scale, it's getting easier. Like, it's just, she's not pushing at the high notes. It's just easy and,
Yeah.
wow.
So she's letting it kind of flip. She's letting it lose that connection. If she wanted it to be a beltier sound, she would just hold on to more of this feeling of hold on. Like, it's a conscious thing to let it flip as she's going higher. Another thing that I noticed was this actually doesn't go too low. It went down to an F3, and you could hear that she kind of had to dig for it still. So to all ladies who think that you can't sing low enough, you can. You don't need to sing super, super low to still be able to sing like cool, interesting stuff. But yeah, in addition to her flipping, the flipping is just like letting it be easier at the top. And I'm wondering if she's using it kind of as a preparatory thing so that when she starts getting bigger later, if she chooses to, it's already in a good place. It's just she has to lean into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great lesson to learn at the beginning of a song. A, not to spend all your currency up front. B, is to start the vocalizing with, if you're going to err on one side or the other, err with more air, more aspirate than not. Well, I guess, again, it depends on what your vocal tendencies are.
Exactly.
But with something like this, keeping it a little breathy for her and more on the aspirate side as she's going up to those higher notes is probably going to help her keep from being too pushy.
Yeah, because if she started just like wailing in it a minute and a half into this song and she has 6 more minutes of wailing on it, it's just not setting yourself up well.
My mind,
So clean up there.
Her face looks like a baby crying.
It does.
And I say that as a compliment. Like,
Yes.
You can't even look me dead in the eyes.
it's so interesting.
She got you hypnotized. You say you
Eye
love me,
contact
but I know it's a lie. When I work so hard to keep you satisfied, I'm about to lose my.
One thing that It's hard for me to find places to pause because it's like interesting and you can talk about everything that she's doing because she's not doing anything like clean or how I expect it to be. She's letting her voice be dirty, and that's kind of adding to everything.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people, they hear us talk and they think we're saying something and that it's a negative thing, where it's just different. And the reality is, a lot of times it's those mistakes that make it so captivating.
I'm not sure if they're all mistakes necessarily, but just like the dirtiness, those weird choices that you make that do not necessarily benefit vocal technique. It's not, I don't think that they're taking away from her technique. It's just like these weird extra things. And she obviously knows her voice well enough that she's trusting that dirt to kind of come into it without ruining her voice. My fear is that some people will watch this and think that it's the style that's the most important thing, when it's her vocal technique and her comfortableness that she has with her voice that's letting her add the style in now. But like, if you start training like this, you're gonna have a bad time because it's too broken up. It's too weird, and there's not like one thing that you can focus on to hold on to that is kind of a common thread at this point if you're starting by asking for all of this at once.
Right. I even fell into the mistake of calling it a mistake when it's mistake isn't the right word. It's just different than like you're saying, it's different from what we expect, right? And what we would explain and talk to a beginning student being consistent, good technique.
But exploiting those expectations makes it so that all of these things are good. Because like everyone who listens to music, we have learned what music is supposed to sound like. And like when you go and study music theory, it's learning in your head what it's supposed to sound like and supposed to look like. And then you can go and exploit it.
I mean, and I think it's like you're saying, it's all about learning to do it right 100% of the time so that you can then choose and let yourself make the mistakes when it's supposed to. And that's a good artistry, right? Like you're saying, you learn music theory and then you go look at Mozart and be like, oh, but he broke the rule here, 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 and here, and here. And it's because he knew how to keep the rules so that when he broke the rules, they meant something and they're on purpose rather than just making a mistake because you don't know how to do it any other way.
Exactly. And I am convinced by just the few minutes that we've watched of her so far that she could do it in pretty much any way she wanted to. And this is all conscious.
Oh, I am them.
Love those stylistic little flips.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to lose my
Right there, another little flip.
mind, my mind, about to lose my mind.
Now she's proven she can do it all connected.
Mind, about to lose my How could you do this to me?
If you're gonna start getting that kind of nasty growl sound without blowing your voice up, you have to start with it small, and everything underneath it kind of needs to be in a good place already. So you can hear sometimes when she goes into that growly bit, like it starts clean and then it just gets a little bit growly, but it sounds like the most gentle growl that you can kind of come up with. Are you hearing that as an effect or as something that's actually happening laryngically, or what are you hearing when she goes into those like gross sounds?
Well, those sounds, to me, she's just coloring certain things, right? She's not using it all the time. It's just very specific moments to get very specific emotional connection responses. And so it's a coloration. It's an effect. I think really what's going on there is she's just letting things collapse a little bit and that tongue pull back. And so it's connecting with the back of her throat a little bit, or even the uvula up above and creating a little bit of that grit rather than really her creating any tension. And like you're saying, it's so gentle. It's with that mic, right? A lot of people were hearing the growl with the mic and think that they're growling really loud, but they're not. They're just they're growling really softly and letting the mic do it.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm noticing that I think is a lot of times when I watch singers, they don't like break me. I still feel like I can think. With her, she's kind of breaking me, and it's hard to like focus on what's going on. The way that she sounds and the way that she looks are so in sync that every single time that she makes a sound, you can feel it, because then you look at her and then like most humans are pretty empathetic, and if you see someone, you'll start feeling that, and if you hear it, like it's all the same, and it just amplifies this effect. And that's where music heightening emotion is so true, because if we just saw her face, it would be like, oh man, this sucks, this is sad, like what's she feeling? But now we get this window into her that you can feel it yourself. And for me, like that's where it's a lot easier to shut off this analytical side and just be part of the experience. Like I'm really blown away by her right now. I think she's awesome.
Oh, I think she's phenomenal. And you're right. You know, as soon as the music matches the text, matches the body language, it's near impossible to hold on to the analytical. It's like it gives us no foothold into it, right? There's nothing to really tear apart. It just is what it is.
And I'm trying to find all of these like ins, like, oh, maybe she did this a little wrong, or maybe we could work on this, but I'm not hearing it. That is one of the hardest things for a performer to do. And one of the things that I think separates like great performers from really good performers is, can you just shut everything off while watching this person and be part of them at that moment? And I know that sounds like weird and spiritual and stuff, but there's this connection that happens like from you as an audience member to watching something that's excellent. It's more than yourself. It's weird.
No way, she can't take you away from me.
It's just so intense.
Oh man.
I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave.
She's really talking to someone else. She's not just talking here on the stage.
No way,
You can see it in those eyes.
take you away from me. Ooh, I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave. If I ever leave, anybody know what I'm talking about? No way, she can't take you away from me. Yeah. No way, and I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave.
And even when it becomes like 90% grit, it still is so easy for her to get back into that clear, easy phonation with all of the cool runs. It's like insane amounts of grit and everything sucks, and then I'm really pretty again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a video on her, Sam. I mean, she's gorgeous. Holy cow. I mean, not just vocally, but like the whole thing is just so 100% there. I mean, wow.
I mean, even just this still that we're looking at right now, it looks like she is just such heightened emotions as a person. And that's the vulnerability that people talk about when they say that they want their performers to be vulnerable. What she's doing right now, right? And it's like you were saying, she's not just saying these words, she's speaking these to someone, and we are all invited to watch that, to watch her like live through something that is so intense. And
Yeah, you know, and I think a lot of people, when they start thinking about pop or whatever, I taught these performance classes for commercial singers for a few years, right? At the university, and I've taught them other places too, but at this one university. And every time I had someone for the first semester there, and I started trying to talk character with them, like you need to know who you are, the who, what, where, when, why. There is such resistance. There's always like, well, this is just a song. I'm just singing a song, and I just want to feel these emotions and sing these emotions. And I'm like, well, you're not doing it. You know, how are you supposed to lock into those emotions? How are you supposed to help us believe that what's going on? Over the course of the semester, as they saw it in other performers and other singers, they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. Before I go up, I have to have it so crystal clear of who I am, who I'm talking to, where I am, how warm or cold is it, what just happened before this. Because without that work, without that clear kind of image in your brain, you just can't lock onto it like she's locking onto it here. She is so somewhere other than this stage with people staring at her. She's somewhere totally different.
Yeah.
Oh, in my mind, my mind, my mind, I think about you all the time.
And she's having a little bit of extra air get through, but she still has enough gas in the tank to get through all of these phrases.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's that one.
We are lucky to have performers like this around.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they help us reorient so that we're not about trying to make everything perfect and right, like it should be, like my teacher wants. It's about making an experience.
Technique is a means to an ends.
Yeah, it is not the end.
Exactly. But it becomes, especially with phenomenal singers, it becomes very easy to kind of judge them based on technique. Like Mariah or Beyonce and stuff, like people want to justify that they have good technique, thinking that having good technique is what makes them next level. And it's not the case. The technique is allowing them to make those sounds and stuff. And I mean, we had that whole video about Mariah arguing about her technique and about how that is preventing her from creating the sounds that she is accustomed to. But like the technique is not the thing that makes us care. And I'm a technique teacher. So like...
Yeah. Well, and the other problem is technique can become such a hindrance, you know, like in our lessons, as soon as you got super focused on technique stuff, sometimes it just shut you down, you know? And so as soon as we gave permission, and I think we all need that at some level, to make an ugly sound, to just forget technique for a moment and just be 100% in the moment and let the emotions dictate what sound you're going to make.
What I've been doing with a lot of my students who tend to get in their head, because it seems like a lot of people who watch these videos are fairly analytical. They want to know how things work and stuff. Otherwise, what's the point of watching these videos? And so some of my students, you know, reflect that by being a little too in their head. But if you can give them a goal to sound ugly and make that the goal, so like, I like this kind of sound, and if you can sing an entire song like this, you're not going to care what it sounds like, because it's obviously this insane sound. And then you can start paying attention to what things feel like, because you're out of your head for a second. And you just need to find ways to give yourself permission to make mistakes. But so often, and I think it comes from this sort of overarching need to be perfect and have good technique, because technique is king and whatever. It's really hard for people to get out of their heads, because as soon as they're out of their heads, they're giving up this feeling of control.
Yeah, well, and you're watching here. Do you look at her and think she's so in control?
No, not at all. You think, and you don't care at all. And that's the goal. Like, that's where it moves past. And it gets hard to talk about, because we're talking about trying to capture lightning in a bottle.
If I was to break down kind of what we're saying here for the people watching, technique is important. It frees you to do more, to have more colors, to be able to sing for longer periods of time, sing day after day after day. But ultimately, where you want to get to as an artist is to let the technique just be part of your package. But really, when we're saying technique, we don't mean just singing technique. We're saying every tool you possibly can use to engage that audience in telling your story, to communicating the message, the feeling, the emotion, the thoughts, the whatever you're trying to communicate to that audience, and take them away from it so they aren't paying attention to your singing. They're not even paying attention to your words. You got them so lost in this moment that their own brain is creating almost a dream.
That's what I feel like when I watch her.
And that's what makes people cry.
Out of it.
Yeah, that's what makes us cry. That's what makes us just totally get lost in this moment is when people do that. And you can't do that by sheer technique alone. You can't. So there's a lot of times in lessons where it's like they'll be frustrated when I'm like, you know what, just sing ugly for a moment, or let's talk about your character for a moment. It's like, wait, no, this is a singing lesson. That's right, it's a singing lesson. And the only way to get the sound you're wanting to get is by getting the underlying thoughts and emotions. The voice really is governed, and that instrument is played by the brain.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Mark, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, how can they reach you?
Visit me at mrperformingartstudio.com or vocalese.net, or you can just put my name here in YouTube and search Dr. Mark Reynolds, and it should pull me up.
Click on this video, and it will take you to him. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Sam.